Uh, Very quickly, I'm going to ask a quick question. I like to start out with a little engagement. So my name's Ted Knaak, TopoDOT. Does anybody know TopoDOT at all? A few, good, all right, a few that don't. Um, so TopoDOT is fundamentally a processing software that extracts like high quality topographies from point clouds and the like. And we basically own, we dominate the North American market for mobile LiDAR, for supporting transportation departments, things like that. I just start that because that's the background of what we're going to talk about. Today we're going to feature TopoShare because obviously our user community has been working with of about 8,500 users, about 800 companies. And this is the team in Orlando, Florida, but we have actually a very strong team here across Europe. And basically, obviously, our customers had a big data problem. So we were very interested, and we wanted to know exactly how to handle this. Typically in TopoDOT, we've had a data governance solution for a long time. We started TopoDOT in 2011 when you had 32-bit machines and 80 million points was a max, and your laptops just, or your workstations just collapsed, right? So we basically developed solutions for that to handle the data. We started data governance solutions. Those solutions have evolved into what we have today, and that's TopoShare. And what TopoShare establishes is missed a line there, but it's a free market for geospatial data and services and data. So what does that mean? We actually give you the tools to engage with your customers so you can develop your own data governance solution. You can handle your own data. This is not a service. We give you tools, and basically that's why we actually have in our title, it's free. It doesn't have to be complicated. So that's what I'm going to talk to you a little about today. So what we do, the effect of what we're going to show you today is that we're going to increase the value of your services to your customers. We're going to extend the life cycle of your data, because if everybody has the experience that we have in the US, you scan, you deliver a project, and the data sits there. Everybody experience that? The data sits there, doesn't do anything, nobody asks for anything else, even though there's valuable data there, because maybe you gave it to an engineering company. They don't use it in construction. Nobody knows who you are. The construction guys started a year later. The data's sitting there, right? And then we all implement all this at a very low technical and financial risk. This really doesn't cost anything to implement this system. So, does this look familiar? Is this your data governance strategy? Does anybody raise their hand? Does it look something like this? You got a lot of hard drives around. Is it an asset, or is it making money? Is it making money for you? Is it a burden? So basically, can you get to your data quickly? Do you understand where your data is? Do you understand what your data is? So let's talk about that a little bit. So we solved the data governance challenge. Okay, and yes, it's free, because we set up this kind of process for you. So, is this a pointer? I hope. Pointer? No. Okay. All right. So we put you at the center of a process. So what we have is your data collection here. Your geospatial operations are in the center. TopoDOT is your extraction software, but you could use any software in there if you have other solutions. That's fine. We expect that. No software does everything. But you're the geospatial consultant in the center. Basically, you establish your own data warehouse where in the US, our customers may have 2,000, 3,000 projects that they can go to their laptop and find any data within a minute. Look on the map, click on it, find the project, know when it was taken, download it, and have it on their laptop within a minute, depending on the size of the data. But they can find an intersection, a small section, and they download it, and then it's cached in their hard drive, and then it comes up in seconds. It's all file-based, so it's very inexpensive. So basically, you support your operations. TopoShare, in the upper right corner, is a web portal. Basically, that lets your customers look into your data warehouse and know what you have, okay? It doesn't let, but you still are in control. You can share your data with them, but they can actually contact you. And they can actually ask for a work order. What I need this. I need clearances. I need earthwork volumes. I need a model here. They can basically establish this as communication. And then, if you have to do some operational-oriented data management or data viewers and the like, or GIS or CAD or whatever your deliverable, basically in the lower right corner is that gray box. It's whatever third application you need. You know, you can basically take your data, publish it there, and give them a panorama viewer, give them whatever they need. There's many services. We support all this. As geospatial professionals, it's important for you to know everything about your data. So this is Professor Topo, by the way, if you've seen him a few times. This is what your data warehouse looks like. I would try to not make it complicated. I like cartoons. It helps me understand. Behind these cartoons are very sophisticated tools. So basically, what do you have? You have point cloud data. You have calibrated imageries. You have the digital twins, the models you've made. You have your quality control. You have your control. You have contracts, maybe. You know, everything that lives is binned it's an acquisition event. And a lot of times what happens is that everyone wants to see very sexy integration with viewers and things and panorama views and measure. And you know what happens? Nobody knows what the quality of the data is. Nobody can go back 8 months or a year and say, well, I don't know how accurate it is. How can you use it? This is the information you need. And obviously, you can store it in Azure or Amazon. So fundamentally, that's how you're going to create your data warehouse. So what does it look like? What is your process going to look like? You're going to have your acquisition, no matter where it comes from. Mobile, mobile, UAV, static, scanners, anything. Anything that makes a point cloud. You're in your geospatial operations. We like to use TopoDOT, but our customers have other softwares. We're fine. You know, you can use what you need for extraction. Typically, the TopoDOT symbol there, that represents 8, 10, 12, 15 people that are just feeding your mobile. Typical mobile LiDAR in the US will feed about 12 people full-time, just processing data and getting deliverables out. Your administrator organizes everything. He has his own data warehouse. And then he has all the support operations. This is nice. It's very productive. But it doesn't quite get you exactly where you want to go. Because if you notice the support operations, design, engineering, planning, construction, literally hundreds or thousands of people can't find the administrator. They don't know where he is. They don't know who he is. And anything you've extracted for them and given them a deliverable, they may not start for a year. A year later, construction starts. They don't know who did the model. They'll survey it again, and your data sits there. So what does it look like, though, inside of that model? How does it look like inside of your extraction team? Well, it'll look something like this, if the video works. And we're waiting. OK. So we have an administrator. You get an administrator. The administrator says, OK, you've have an asset. These are all your projects, okay? And what you'll do is it'll show you up on a GUI interface to all the projects you have. This is how the TopoDOT community interfaces with their data. They have many more projects than we do, but this is a project here. That's a static scan project around a small one. And this goes very quickly. So the bottom line is I may move through this a little bit. But the bottom line is the administrator lets you organize your data in TopoDOT where you'll divide it up and tile it. You'll basically put all your quality control. You put all your descriptive metadata, your JSON files, your images of your point cloud and the like, and you'll basically load them to, upload them to your Amazon or your Azure or any comparable cloud-based service. So you'll go through this entire process. This is what it'll take you maybe 10, 15 minutes to upload a typical project that might be 300 gig to a terabyte. It'll take you 10, 15 minutes. You have an interface to your data and all your images, all your line work, all your overviews of the data. The thing we found is that engineers don't necessarily want your point cloud, and they can't deal with it anyway. And you don't want them to have your point cloud either, because they'll measure something, and who knows what they'll have. If I give 5 engineers this data point cloud, they'll get 5 different measurements, Nobody will know what it is. So you have to maintain your quality. So this will basically go through here. You go through your metadata files. It could be your CAD files, your DWGs, your DTNs, whatever. And you'll tag it. This is what it'll look like, a very small section. This can be 100 kilometers long. This is what it'll look like. Everything is tiled. So we tile them because you don't want to do any processing in the cloud. The other thing is completely file-based, so it's very inexpensive. And we'll talk about that later. All your density. These are all quality reports. What's happening in the US right now is that all these quality reports are part of the process for our transportation departments. So they know what that data is. So when they come in, they go, okay, we know, I can look at those quality reports and I know what I can do with this data. I know if there's a problem. I know if it has to be maintained or if I can use it for this purpose. So this is part of data governance. You have to know the quality of your data. All right, so everything is uploaded now, and this is the process. So you get this with TopoDOT, and that's what we say, it's free. You can you set up your own data warehouse. Once you have this set up like that, then there should be another, oh, did I miss a video? All right. I missed the video. All right, there it is. So go. I'm sorry, there should be a video playing to show what this looks like. And I don't know why. Oh, there we go. Sorry. Okay. So this is what it looks like in the client side. So say this is your team, your technical team. There might be 20 or 30 in the TopoDOT environment. And basically, the way they go to a project, they're given a project to do, and they divide it up. They click on that project, or they look at it in the GUI interface, click on the line. It's in AWS, Azure, Oracle, or any other comparable cloud service. So now your technicians find, they go, okay, I'm going to go to a particular project. I'm going to say, I'm interested in this project. I have 2 icons here, and I want to survey this bridge. I'm going to click on that bridge. I'm going to say, okay. I click on the mobile LiDAR data that came for this. I click on the icons, all point to a tile, and it's on your map. They've been divided. That's all they have to look at. It's very light, and that data will come in from that tile. This way, they can basically download entire sections, as many tiles as you'd like. Once they're cached, they come in quickly. We don't care about bandwidth or your IT. There we're doing a little survey. We're going to extract 4 points inside of TopoDOT to show you. So we're going to look at those later inside the TopoDOT enterprise environment. But the bottom line is, so this is how basically the fundamental, we call it TopoShare basic works, in that you basically, again, our customers say, you know, I've talked to customers say, what about engineering? How do you interface with clients? I said, you know what? The fact that we can find our data within a minute anywhere that we've done over the last 3 years has added so much productivity to what we're doing. I don't even care about my clients yet. You know, they'll use it, but it's amazing. So, because everybody knows, everybody's looking through loads of data that they did 2 years ago, and they're looking for files, and it takes them a half hour to download something. So, data governance, and so we have this, but there's something missing. The supported operations, and remember, this is what we've found in the U.S. and in our community. Everybody wants point clouds, and they say, look, in construction, you can do so many things, clearance, operations. There's so many applications for point cloud data, but it never gets used. It never gets used because these guys, there's 1,000 people in there. They don't know who this administrator is. They can't find him. So they just do what they did before. So they have a great model that may have given them 8 months ago, and during construction, nobody can communicate with them. They don't know where the data is. They can't get to the data warehouse. They don't know where it is. It's some engineer or a construction operations guy, right? So this is where TopoShare Enterprise comes in. So basically, Enterprise is a solution that looks like this. We add this section. This is a web portal. We're not basically holding your data. What this does is through an access to a URL, you can access this web portal, and that URL will have credentials and credentials applied to it, where it can go and find the geospatial administrator establishes the URL. He gives it to anybody he wants it. That URL will look in and it'll tell him all about his data. Everybody he's grouped into that data, he can look at those, where the data is, what it looks like, and he can also email and finds the email of the administrator. So now through a URL, you can go to 10,000 people and it doesn't cost anything. They can all see where your data is. They all establish communication. We found the biggest problem in really exploiting the value of point clouds is not really, is the point cloud good, can we extract it? TopoDOT can extract anything. But it still wasn't being used because there was no communication. Our users typically worked with 3 or 4 or 5 engineers in another company and gave them a product, and it was done. Then they delivered it, and it was over. And their guys, the engineers, and then the construction, and then what went on for 2 or 3 years later, nobody knew that this data was even here, even though it's worth hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars almost. We have many examples of that. So what does it look like in TopoShare, where we can collaborate with the world? So that same little project I showed you, oops, I did it again. OK, so that same project I just showed you is now with a URL link. And so what happens here? I'm going to look through, and I'm going to find that same project. This is what every engineer has. We'll have, every time you give me a URL link, this is what the engineers will have. They will have all your data. They will see how it's tiled, overlaid over a map, and when they click, this will come up in any browser, just a browser link. There's no cloud computing, no streaming, virtually 0 cost per visit. This is infinitely scalable. And they can see all your line work, and look at that point cloud. That is a picture of the point cloud, and it's color-coded. It's not 300 million points. It comes in seconds. That's all an engineer needs. There's quality reports. These are all, we'll tell you how to interpret them, but they tell you a lot about every project. Your control points. What was your control there? These are things geospatial professionals need. It's got to be linked. These are all just metadata files. You can download any of these, all your products. And remember those 4 surveyed points? They're available too. We're not Esri, but we can give you some text and some things with it. And then if you want to see the image, you can click and download an image, and we'll tell you where it is. Now, we're not doing panoramas. We're going to actually add that capability in a little bit through some basic libraries, windows. But you can measure in them. We actually make something called DPEGs that you can measure in there. And then here, I can mark this as an engineer and go to the right person and say, work order request. I need the lowest clearance across this bridge. You don't know me. You took this data a year ago, 2 years ago, and I want to talk to you, and this is what I need. And now we establish credentials. We're working with large rail companies right now, and they basically saying, this is how they get their request. The geospatial professional gets his request for exactly what they need when they need it. Because they don't need models, they need answers. They need to know what volumes there. They need to know what clearances are there. They may need a topographic model. They may need to know some, I don't know. There's a million things that they ask for all the time. You have to establish communication or you don't know. You can't make a model that gives them all these answers, right? And now we're just starting to see where they're starting to roll it into their business model where they get paid to extract. So we have this communication going. And I put this in point, this last slide kind of gives you a feel. We don't compete with panorama views and that they're very engaging operational things. For 1 kilometer of a mobile LiDAR project is about 5 to 10 gigabyte. TopoShare, unlimited access, a URL, $0. Upload terabyte, 0. You upload as much as you want, right? Storage per year, $240 per. A terabyte is about 1 kilometer, is about 20 or 40 kilometers. Not much, okay? Every visit costs about a nickel. All right, it doesn't cost anything. So this is scalable. It doesn't reach the high prices. We're not competing with that. And you download that entire project here for 1 kilometer, might be 90 cents. So if you download it, and once it's cached, you don't pay for it again. You just have it, and you can share data, organize it, whatever you'd like to do. It really puts you in complete control. And as geospatial professionals, it makes you have to get a foundation of your data first before you start looking at really exciting panoramas and things that really don't add a lot of value at times. You rotate around and you spend thousands of dollars to rotate around, and what do you have? You have rotations. So basically, your data warehouse, your account, unlimited scalability, really. You never run. It's no expensive streaming, IT infrastructure. You enhance your collaboration across all your data. Ensures liability. Basically, the person doing extracting is responsible for what they extract. So in other words, you go to the geospatial professional with requirements that the engineer has or the construction guy has. This is what I want. He does what he needs. He gives you what he needs. He signs off, says this is correct, and you have a record. That's what you have to do for a business model, right? Optimized digital twins. And it's really easy to implement. There's no technical or financial risk. You just basically start doing the process, and we teach you how to do the process. We have a whole team here in Europe and in the US, of course. This is how we teach you in different modules of training. We have our biggest group now is training and support operations, and we'll teach you how to implement each of these processes. It's not difficult. You can start very slowly and build and scale, and there's actually no more efficient way to do it. So, stop by our booth. We're in Hall 12 downstairs. Our booth number is there, 41. You'll see TopoDOT, and we have a team there if anybody to answer your questions. I think I'm finished. Did I hit my time, or did I go over? I don't know.